but right now it's all good. So yeah.
See. All right, no filter MMA family. This is your boy BJ, and I am back with another special guest. Top UK lightweight prospect Richard Mearns is back on No Filter MMA after the biggest win of his career over Scott Butters. Richard, how you been doing, man?
Yeah, man. I've been good. I've been relaxing a bit since the fight, just taking it easy. But I've been back training. I teach in my classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I'm keeping busy. And then right now, I just want to get back going, like into full swing of training. The week since the fight has been relaxed, been eating out a lot, celebrating, just enjoying some time with family, friends, and that. But now I just want to get back to the gym and get training like every day. So yeah, it's been good. Everything's really good at the moment. Really good. Yeah.
So last time I talked to you, Richard, it was 2 fights ago. You've been very active here lately. It was 2 fights ago, right before the Dorval fight with Killer Cam. First of all, walk us through. I mean, and another thing I wanted to point out, man, is you've been showing a very well-rounded game. Like, I mean, it's been you've been looking good in your last couple of fights. Like now, the fight you had in Killer Cam against Dorval, it was a striking match.
Yeah.
It was a very intense striking match, man. It was a very chess player like striking match. Walk us through that fight, man. Tell me what you think, because this guy was a very big, very fast, very powerful striker. Tell me, walk us through this fight, that fight.
Yeah, I mean that fight almost, wasn't an MMA fight. It was like a K1 kickboxing bout.
Okay.
There was like no grappling whatsoever. Dorval tried to take me down at the end of round three, but that got stuffed immediately. I was surprised because with him, I was researching him, and he was just a pressure grappler. His striking looked powerful because he's big, strong, really athletic fighter. So I was surprised that he didn't choose to take me down earlier when the fight wasn't going his way. I think maybe he thought it was going his way, but it wasn't. He was supremely confident going into the fight, and then I think I just burst that bubble immediately because as soon as the bell went, I was at lightweight this time around instead of my usual featherweight, and he was a lot bigger than me. So I was like, right, I have to get up close straight away. I can't be playing in his range. I'm going to take the fight to him and play the game in my range. And immediately I threw it overhand, and the overhand lead landed clean, like just underneath the cheek. And I think that upset his rhythm for the rest of the fight because I felt his confidence go after that. And then his strategy was completely wrong, to be honest. So I just kept my guard tight, kept marching forwards, attacking the legs, throwing some punches. And whilst he was throwing strikes, he was always moving backwards with the strikes, so that they're not powerful. Like it's not like they weren't clean counter strikes, say like and how an MVP fighter strikes. He'll move backwards and land something like whilst you're coming onto the shot. But Dorval just didn't have that sort of strategy. If you know what I mean? He was running away, throwing strikes backwards. You know what I mean? So whereas when I was throwing strikes, both my feet are heavily planted, so all the power comes from my hips through the hip, and then it transfers into the punch. If you're kind of like too light on your feet, then there's not much power in the punch. So yeah, that was a great fight. I really enjoyed that. I mean, I initially thought that perhaps I would take him down. I've said this before. I don't have a plan going into a fight. I've just got a vague idea of what I want to do because the fight can turn out completely different. And then after round one, that fight, like I was so confident on the feet, I thought, well, if he doesn't bring anything new to the table in round two, then I'm going to keep doing the same. And then round one went the same. Round two was the same. So round three, his strategy hadn't changed at all. So I kept to my game plan, and I didn't need to change anything. I do think though I could have tried harder for the finish. It was a bit of a shame it went to decision, but it was dominant for me all the way. So I was really happy with that win, especially against like um, such a stronger opponent, like physically. It was good experience. I really enjoyed it, and to go the rounds is always good experience as well. struggling with your audio a bit now.
Sorry about that, mate. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
That was my fault.
Oh, not this again. It's my speaker.
But what I was saying, what I was wanting to talk about, point out in that fight was your physique in that
Oh,
fight. I mean, it was, dude, you were big in that fight. And Jordan Doval was, it was Jordan, right? His first name was Jordan, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Jordan Dorval, he looked, of course, he was the taller fighter than you, but as far as like you looking at your size, dude, your physique was much bigger in that fight than it was in your most previous fight. I guess it's because you were fighting at lightweight in that fight,
yeah.
but you just looked a lot bigger and a lot bulkier, and your punches were a lot faster and a lot stronger. That was a good look for you.
I'm really strong at lightweight and featherweight. The only issue is with lightweight. Sometimes they're just too big, if you know what I mean. So I can
Yeah,
make featherweight, and I made it comfortably on the weekend just gone. So at lightweight, I don't have to diet as hard. So I don't need to. I don't need my body weight to be so low before I do start the cut. And also I usually when I fight lightweight, I wake up on weight in the morning of the weigh-in. So I've got like maximum, very maximum, just 1 kilo to move, and I can go for a
yeah,
jog. I literally just go for a run and then get it off. Whereas at featherweight, I have to get my weight lower, very low. So it's got to be single digit body fat, sort of a week before the fight. Then I have to, on the morning of the weigh-ins, I'll be cutting a lot of water weight. So um, I'm probably a better athlete at lightweight because my body doesn't take any damage from the weight cut. Like I'm not tired in
yeah,
any way. I get a good night's sleep throughout the whole week of cutting weight. Whereas featherweight, it probably takes a bit more toll on my physique, my athleticism, but at the same time, I'm in a weight category where my opponents don't really have much of an advantage on me. But as we've seen in Tom's last few bouts, like at featherweight, they're still humongous. You can look at Aiden Lee and his last fight when he fought Deki McAleenan. Them guys are like well above 6 foot. So at featherweight, they're still very big. But the cut went really well, just gone. So I can make it even better next time. Cut more weight prior to the fight. So featherweight's my class to be in, but lightweight, I'm very happy there too. I like it there. I can eat more.
yeah. I mean, yeah, speaking of your brother's last fight, dude, like when I seen like the face off and I was like your brother was looking up at the
Yeah,
guy. I was like, wow.
yeah,
But Tom managed to just nullify every single portion of every angle that this guy could use his reach advantage to his advantage.
yeah,
Tom nullified it. Tom stayed in his face. Tom took him down. I mean, it was a performance, a hell
yeah.
of a performance by Tom.
Very
Hell of a
dominant on the
performance.
ground.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
very.
So okay, so the Dorval fight happened, and then you took very quickly, you took this bout with Scott Butters. Um, Now I know that, like I said, you guys are both my boys, but man, I just have to speak on the performance there. And Scott can be. See, the thing that I forgot a few things when I made the Keys to Victory video. Until after I watched the fight, and I was like, you know, one thing I forgot was your top pressure for one. Your top pressure is very, very, very heavy, and I should have picked that up by watching the grappling videos that you posted, but that was slipped past me. That one got past me. But another thing that you did that was that I forgot that Scott does that I forgot to mention was Scott is a fast starter. He's a very fast starter. He'll come out, he'll throw heavy shots, and you nullified that pretty quickly. Like when you took him down and put him on his back, I was like, whoa. Then I realized I was like, Richard's grappling. I underestimated your grappling. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I underestimated the grappling until, I mean, I thought that Scott would have the advantage on the ground is if the fight went to the ground because that's the background that he comes from versus you and your brothers come from a Taekwondo background, and when I saw you take him down and you put him on his back and your top pressure was so heavy, dude. It was heavy as
Yeah.
hell. What was that your game plan to put Scott on his back?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, um, it was it was quite nice to sort of from this year. My performance are completely different. One was so dominant on the feet, and the other so dominant on the ground. So I'm quite happy just to show people like my variety of skills. Um, but I think the performance probably surprised quite a lot of people because most of my fights they do just stay on the feet, and I think that's because prior to doing MMA, I was kickboxing. I'd done so many sort of kickboxing and Muay Thai bouts that I
Hey,
kind of
hey,
get a bit of a rhythm
Richard,
there, and I
do
just
me a favor. Can you use your headphones so your microphone is right close to your mouth?
yeah. Let me just find them quick.
You
Let me
good, man?
put 'em-
No problem.
one one moment.
Okay, I want to hear everything you got to say, man.
I've got a pair here. Untangle these. Oh wait, actually, one moment.
Are you good, man?
So yeah, because I'm doing it on the phone. They got the new Lightning connector now, haven't they? One of them tricks that Apple does to make sure you buy Apple products. I'm onto them, but it's not a lot I can do. Um,
so you're an
right, is
iPhone
that,
guy.
yeah, it's because it's easy to use. You know, I can't use the Samsung. I don't know how to. Barely know how
Oh
to use
man,
a computer. But
come back to the dark side, man.
yeah, what are you using? Samsung?
Yes.
Yeah, not Huawei.
No, I've had a phone made by them though. I've
Oh
had a
yeah.
phone, and it was a very good phone. Yep,
Okay, yeah. I hear
that's
the good
much better.
phones.
That's much better.
Nice. So what we was talking about? We was talking about the performance of Scott. So yeah,
Yes.
I knew going into the fight, or I'd be sort of happy sort of wherever it went. But I knew that Scott's best chance was actually on the feet. And my ground game's sort of slightly been hidden in MMA. We've not seen a lot of it. You see it shine against Justin Springer in my amateur career. Since going pro, we haven't seen any of my fights really go to ground.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I wanted to just take it to him straight away. And yeah, it was. I guess the performance was perhaps a bit more how. This is someone said this to me actually. I was walking out of the cage. He said, "Oh, it's a bit more like how your brother fights,"
Yes.
because you see that he would often get people to the ground and it'd be game over from then. And like to be honest, with my training, I focus a lot more on my grappling. Um, and I think when I get in the cage, it's just like it stays on the feet. Like even against Terry Doyle, like I was not winning in that fight, but I just stayed on my feet. It's just kind of like how I've always been competing, if you know what I mean. Um, but to be fair, the canvas was really slippy on that day. I was really struggling because it was a hot day. It was like the hottest day of the year, and it was the last fight of the night. It was like an ice rink in that cage. But yeah, no, I really wanted my ground game to shine this time around. So I didn't plan to spend the whole fight on the ground. But when I took him down early in round one, I just felt like so dominant that I was just like, why change something that works well? So then round two, you see me strike more. That was the plan because after sitting on him for an entire round, but not just sitting on him, like I was ground and pound all the way,
Yeah.
constantly working because no one wants to see a boring fight. So in round two, I was striking a bit more because I know his punching would be a lot more lethargic. So after having to defend for an entire round, your muscles going to be full of lactic acid. I was a little bit tired, but I knew that he had to carry my weight for a whole 5 minutes. So I knew that he would be very tired. In fact, Tom was sort of showing, look, he's leaning on the fence here. It's
Yeah.
end of round one, and his body language is really not showing, like it's not looking strong. So I went in there round two, striking because I knew it would be a safer time to strike. And then sort of a minute into the round, he was really close to the fence and really heavy on the lead leg. So whilst I was enjoying the striking, I was just like, in my mind, I was just like, that's such an obvious takedown. I had to go for it. So I did, picked up the single leg, and I ran it to the opposite hip because I knew the fence was behind him. So uh, he couldn't quite post out on the other leg. So I knew the takedown was guaranteed. So if you look at the video, he's in quite a traditional boxing stance. There's a lot of weight on his lead leg. So I pick it up, and as I do pick it up, I run forwards towards the cage, but I pull the leg from one side of the body to the other. So his body's sort of twisted, and then
Yeah.
I knew he's going to go down. And then from there, it was just like on the ground, just take your time, keep working. And if there's a finish there, it will present itself to you. And it did. He had he used some explosive energy to try to escape. And then I felt I was slipping off of his back. And as I did, I knew there was a triangle choke there. So I applied the triangle choke. I had it bitten in. And then he starts defending the triangle choke. And I could feel it getting loose. I had my calf, as the triangle was locked on, my calf was on top of my toes. And the toes have got like sort of flex on it. Whereas you need it to be on the shin, like the back of your knee around the shin. So like there's no give. So I thought to myself, I could try tighten up this triangle, try and bind it up, but the armbar is always available from there. So I went to the armbar, and I know I'm known for my armbars, and because I put a lot of might into it. So I thought, well, the armbar's there, and I knew he wouldn't even have the time to defend that. So I just put it on. The moment I unbuttoned the triangle and threw the leg over the head, I just put my hip straight into it with a lot of power. And then there was the tap. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a really good fight. I enjoyed it so much because I've been liking the grappling a lot, and it really shined in this fight.
It was quick, man. I mean, it looked, because I'm watching the fight, and I'm glued to the fight, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking, and then it looks as if Scott was going to get out,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, because Scott has good ground and pound as
Mm.
well. So I was like, I was like, oh, Scott's about to get out. He's about to start throwing, and he's got a long reach as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, uh-oh. And then all of a sudden, the fight was over, and I was like, I had to go back and look and see what happened, when they played the replay, because it happened just like
Yeah.
that. But another thing I want to point out that you've done, Richard, that was very, very smart. Like you said, Scott has he's a good fighter on the feet as well.
Mm-hmm.
On the second coming out in the second round, Scott landed a big right hand in the second round,
Yeah.
and you made that adjustment, and you just got right in his face, man, and
Yeah.
you got because you were at his range when he landed that right hand, and then
Mm-hmm.
you're very good at getting because you and your brother are always. It seems like you guys are always at a size and reach disadvantage.
Quite
So
often, yeah.
you're one thing that you and your brother are absolutely excellent at doing is closing the distance and putting the fight in your range. And you put the fight in your range. You landed a couple big shots and you took him to the ground. That was excellent, excellent, excellent fight IQ, man. Talk us through that moment.
Oh, well, so I threw a kick in round two, and he catches the kick. So I'm just thinking, stay balanced, stay balanced. But then he runs me forward, so my back's on the fence. But as he lets go of the kick, sort of knowing he's not going to get a takedown from there. I also think he knew after round one he doesn't want to go to ground with me. He let go of the kick, throws probably a right hand, can't fully remember. It lands, but I was not phased at all. People like commentators saying like, I've been hit back, but no, I was already moving backwards because I threw a front kick, and he's caught the kick, and as he ran me forward to try and take me down, I had to hop backwards. Then he let go of the leg, threw the punch whilst I'm moving backwards. So it was just a case of like put my guard back up. I think at that point, because he was swinging, so straight away I just tie clinch, plum clinch around the back of the head, completely slow him down. I threw two knees to the head, and then so he's defending the head, and at that point I let go and throw a couple hooks. So I like to mix up the grappling with the striking. So like just to upset their rhythm, they can if you give them space to strike, then it can look really nice. So just throwing straight jabs, crosses, And with being a shorter guy, you don't want to be on the outside, so you want to be on the inside, throw your hooks, and then you can clinch them to stop them moving out of range, and then mix up with the clinch and the strikes. So
Yeah.
yeah, I had the striking advantage in the fight as well.
Yeah.
But you know, when I throw my punches, there's usually quite a lot of commitment behind them.
Yes.
So yeah, we haven't seen any KOs with the fist yet, but I do think that's people should expect that next. When I get my footwork better, and I don't fight when I throw my punches. I'm not throwing high volume combinations, so I can sharpen my combinations definitely. And if I get them to land right on the chin, I know people are going to be getting knocked out with the fists as well as the kicks. More kicks to come as well. Though. I've been on Saturdays occasionally. I've been training my taekwondo again with his name's Tino. He's a taekwondo coach in Milton Keynes. So shout out to Star Martial Arts. But you know, I'm dipping my toes back into the taekwondo as well. So I'm literally working everything all the time.
It was nice, man. It was nice that the way when there wasn't a whole lot of striking exchanges in this fight with Scott, but the ones that were there, you were good about hiding those kicks behind your punches. You set the kicks up very well. You were setting them, and your kicks, dude. You throw your kicks kind of like a jab, dude. It's very quick, and it's right on. It's always on target. It's good accuracy with the kicks. And you know, you can tell you can always spot a Taekwondo fighter like Felicia Spencer, when she fought Chris Cyborg. The Taekwondo, you could tell by the way she strikes and the way she hides those kicks and how fast those kicks come out. You can see the Taekwondo. But one thing that I thought that you did very well is when you were in the striking exchanges with Scott, as Scott was throwing the power, like the looping power shots, you were coming straight up the middle with you always work a good jab. You always like that's one thing you and your brother always work is a really good straight jab, and you were firing down the pipe as Scott was trying to land the big punches, which I thought was very smart because Scott has a lot of power. You know what I'm saying? Like we've seen that in some of his previous fights, and I always talk about how these grapplers can always throw a bomb that can always change the flow of a fight. And as Scott was trying to land those big punches, you were coming straight down the middle and connecting, and was really you kept the fight. Like I said, you kept the fight in your range, and you also have a very powerful jab. You and your brother, you throw your jabs, and it's not just a touchy feely jab to kind of gauge the range. It's a jab with a lot of commitment in it. There's a lot of power behind it.
Yeah, if you're short, you've got to step forward with the jab. So it's quite a strong jab, but that's the most important strike in any boxer's arsenal is the jab. It can be used for a lot. It can be used just to blind your opponent. You can throw the jab just above the eye line. You don't even need to throw it hard, but just enough to get a reaction. So you throw a jab a lot to get reaction out of your opponent. You throw a jab to make range. If you're out of range, you throw it to step in and get closer in range. You throw a jab to increase the volume of strikes. So if you're standing in front of your opponent, you don't want to be throwing nothing. So you throw the jab. You throw the jab to set up your hooks, your crosses. It's not the punch you're going to see the finish from, but it is the most important strike in the arsenal, really, in kickboxing and boxing. The jab sets it up. It sets up everything. You can use it to set up your kicks. You throw a lead jab, and then your rear kick follows nicely from it. So yeah, I think all mixed martial artists, that's the punch they need to be focusing on a lot. If it's not your finishing shot, you're going to be using that jab to set it up, to tease the guard open, to drop the guard. You can throw the jab to the body, bring the guard down, and throw your finishing shot over the top. So yeah, it's a punch that needs to be worked on a lot. But it's a very important punch.
I was expecting in this matchup, I was expecting Scott to use a good jab.
Yes.
Because he has the reach advantage, and I was expecting a good jab from Scott. But Scott was throwing the power punches, and you stuck to the jab. You stuck to the game plan.
He did a few times throw the jab, and then I sort of slipped under it or to the side, and countered with my jab like at the same time. So I I kind of use his jab as a way to enter and bring to come into my. So he's got the range advantage, and if I can predict his jab, then I can use that to bring my feet closer to him. And then next thing you know, we're in grappling range. I've stepped forward a little bit, but so has he, and he's done part of the work for me. So he threw a few jabs, but it didn't work out for him. I was sort of beating him to the punch on that one. It's all about timing.
Yeah. So what did you work anything differently in this camp for
No.
preparing for Scott? I know Scott was working a whole lot different. You in your fights, you usually work a pretty well-rounded game. So was it just business as usual, or did you work anything in specifics? Did you point out any holes in Scott would be able to exploit?
I have to be honest. I didn't do anything differently. I know that for the fights, Scott tailored his camp. So a few things he probably done differently for me was his strength and conditioning. So me and Tom are very known for being really strong athletes with good cardio. So I could tell that Scott was working a lot on the strength and conditioning. But in terms of my camp, I was just training regularly. I didn't change anything. I just kept training. I was confident that my ground game was better than his. And that's where the fight went. I was pretty much expecting it to go to ground. And I just was confident that I'm sparring with good guys. We've got Noah, Jordan Visenik, my brother, Raymond. Lots of good talent to spar with at the gym. And then with the grappling at these tournaments, I'm grappling with like some elite level competition. So no, I didn't tailor it in any way. I just knew that I was working hard, and that was enough. I knew because I was very familiar with Scott before the fight. I've seen his fights. I kind of roughly knew what to expect, and I knew what I had in my arsenal, and I knew it was going to be good enough. I think my phone's frozen a little bit. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. My connection is going haywire. I'm good. I'm sorry. It was a great for contenders. It was a great fight, great co-main event for. So tell us, Richard, what are you expecting next? Are you? So I mean, you got yourself. Your record is back into the winning record. You're 3-2 now, which is great for an up and coming fighter. What are you expecting next, man?
I do think I think I'm good enough to be going on to some Premiership platforms now. Definitely credible enough. My performances are exciting enough. I was hoping to get another fight in this year, like perhaps on the 23rd of November, because I know Contenders have another card then. So I was hoping to fight again this year, but Tom's fight is now on the 23rd of November, so I won't be able to do Contenders. So as of yet, I've got nothing planned for this year, but it's to get in there again and then just take it as it comes. I'm hoping to do Contenders again. I know they're potentially doing a card in February, and also they're going to be doing their first card in the States, I think in Florida. So I want to be on that American card. I want to show the overseas fans some, what I'm about. So I would like to be on Contenders in the States.
Card, man. Card, I'm coming. That's only it's only about a 6 or 7 hour drive, man. I can get a plane ticket in an hour, dude. I would not be most definitely not.
Yeah, man, it would be great. I'll speak to the promoter and I'll see if that's a possibility. I'd love to be on that card. I'd be curious to know who I'd be fighting though if I was to get on a card in America. Would it be someone local, or would it be another usual contenders veteran, Um, so yeah, that'll be exciting. But I got to speak to them about that and see what their plans are. But yeah, that's what I want. I want to fight on that Florida card. If not, I want to be looking at perhaps Cage Warriors. I think that would be next on my list.
Man. We have, let me adjust that connection. Hold on,
Yeah,
man.
it's pausing a little bit. Can you hear me good?
Right now.
Yeah, that's good. I got you.
Right. Yeah, man. So yeah, that's huge. That Contenders is going to be coming to the states, man. I mean, I would hope that Contenders would, search for some local talent to face you UK guys. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Because one thing about you UK guys, you guys bring a solid fight. You guys bring a solid game to the table. So for anyone, it's going to be a tough fight for anyone to get in there and fight with you guys. You guys are very very tough, very gritty fighters that come from across the pond over there, man. So, so tell us, man, what was the first meal you ate after the big win, man? I know you
Oh
celebrated well.
yeah. Oh man. Well, I've been eating loads since the fight, but the what did I have? I'm trying to think. What did I eat after the fight? After the fight, it was really late, and I had to drive. I was going to stay in Norwich the night, but I was kind of excited just to get home, to be honest, and get to bed in my own bed. So, I just got some food at the petrol station, just eating on the go. But the next day, I actually went to see my dad, and we had a roast dinner. That was really nice. Get to eat a lot of food that I've not eaten in a long time, like roast potatoes, and because getting ready for fights is, it's low on the carbohydrates. So
Yeah,
I don't get to enjoy much. If I'm having potatoes in a meal, like it'd be a small portion. So yeah, the roast dinner. Me and my girlfriend went to a little dessert parlor the next day as well. So we had a nice waffle with like Nutella, all that stuff. And then the Tuesday, it was my friend's birthday, so we went for a curry. So I had a nice curry. And then then today I went and ate some Turkish food. But it's fair, I eat Turkish food like throughout my fight camps. This was really good for you. So the Mediterranean diet's really good, and it's full of protein, some good grains. So it's fair. I eat that all the time, even when I'm like a couple of weeks out from a fight. If I wanted to eat out, I can go for a Turkish. It's
yeah.
really good, clean food. But yeah, no, I've been treating myself to lots of nice stuff. But now I think I've celebrated enough. So now I want to get focused. I want to get back to my training regularly, eat a good diet, treat myself. Why not? But I don't want to, because I made featherweight and I made it great. I did really well getting to featherweight. There was no harm done.
Look well.
Because
You look good and healthy as well.
I
Yeah,
was very healthy. Like last time, you know, this was Scott's first cut to featherweight, so there's a lot of emphasis on that with the fight, like how he pan out in featherweight. But to be honest, like for me, it was my first cut to featherweight in a couple of years. My last ones have been at lightweight. But the weight went. It was great. Like I woke up on the morning of the fight, and I did 2 salt baths, and the weight just dropped off of me. I had a long drive to Norwich though. My brother took me down. Um, so yeah, I don't want to get too heavy, like, because I don't want to have a mountain to climb for my next fight. So I'm just
right.
gonna keep enjoying myself, eat well, train well, sleep well, and then I'll be ready to go again. Because like I've got no injuries. I've got a bit of a swollen bit on my shin from kicking him. I hurt my thumb from punching him, but other than that, like no injuries. So I'm good to go. Like I can fight again this year, and I would like to. The only problem with that is Tom's fight on Bellator. I was looking at potential cards that I can be on. There's Battle Arena, there's Cage Warriors, there's Bellator, there's Contenders. They're all happening on the same weekend, and this is my brother's big fight on Bellator, so I don't want to miss that for the world.
Yeah.
So if I could get a fight in before, then yeah. If I could get in a fight in after, then yeah, that'd be cool. But I got to take some annual leave from work for my brother's fight. So it's going to be difficult to get a fight in this year. So all I can do is I can just stay fit and I'll be ready to go. You know, if I take my foot off the pedal now, then I'm going to make it difficult for myself. So I'm going to keep training, keep eating well. But next year, early next year, guaranteed. One more this year would set me up very nicely, because like you said, I'm on a streak now. So is Tom. He's back, and he's gonna win in November. So the two of us are just gonna get back to where we was. And I think about a year ago, you know, we had a bit of a downfall, and I think the rest of the division, featherweight division in the UK, they had a sigh of relief. Like, they could relax a little bit, but now they can't, because me and Tom are sort of back training hard, and we're just gonna tear it up.
Yeah, man. You
Yeah.
guys are doing great, man.
No,
Like
they've all
you
got to
guys are.
worry big time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say, man. You know, and and kudos to Scott Butter. Scott is a great fighter.
Yeah.
You know, he'll be back better than ever. I'm sure he will. But you know, that night was your night, man. It was your night. You did
Definitely.
very well. You executed. You came into the fight with a very smart game plan, man. I mean, and that's what future opponents, whether they're fighting you or your brother, for one, they need to be ready for the pressure, for one,
Yeah.
because you guys, I always talk about the pressure that you guys put on your opponents. It's like, I mean, you two have very different fight styles, but your fight styles are also very similar as well. You
Yeah.
know, and it's just you got very smart decisions that you guys make in fights. You know what to do. If you do something and you see that it's working for you, you guys stick with it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? If something's not working for you, you guys all you switch it up. I mean, it's great fight IQ, great fight IQ.
Mm.
So, are you going to be in Tom's corner for this Bellator fight?
Yes, 100%. That's the reason I think I'm going to struggle to get another fight this year, is because I'll need a couple of days off work to go to Wembley for Tom. So he'll probably have some press stuff to do before the fight. I want to make sure he makes weight healthily. He's doing a catch weight this time, 68. Still going to have to do a cut though, so I'll be with him every stage of the cut, so that goes fine. And then I'll be with him on fight day. So it's going to be a few days just being by his side. But there's a lot of fights shows on that weekend, but his is taking priority. So it's a big fight. He's fighting Jeremy Petley. It's a big name on UK MMA. He's been about. He's fought on big shows. Big shows. I think he's fought for the world title before Cage Warriors. I'm not too sure if I just made that up or it was the Bama world title. Either way, he's top talent. I don't think he's as good as Tom. He's so yeah. I mean, that's what I'm doing. So whilst I'm helping Tom prepare for his fight, I'll be ready. I'll be ready for whatever comes my way, because I'm going to be training hard too. Whilst if Tom's going through a fight camp, whilst I haven't got the same level of stress, I'm going through it as well. I'm training. I'm still refining my techniques. I'm watching him, making sure that his camp's going well. So that's the benefit of having brothers in this game. They both keep you going. They keep you motivated. You can't take too much time off in MMA because the landscape changes so quickly. Take a year out and there's new champions and all sorts. So yeah,
yeah,
that's the goal right now.
So I've been wanting to ask one of you. I wanted to get you. Either one of you. I wanted to ask a certain question. There was a guy named Anthony Taylor.
Oh yeah.
He made a post a while back, and he was calling your brother a prick. I don't know if it was you or your brother. I can't remember which one it was. And he was saying that he wanted to fight you. I can't remember if it was you. Was it you or your brother?
I think he wanted to fight Tom first, but I don't know. I did get involved at one point. For this is the guy's a bit of a comedian, so I'll humor him for a bit, and then I think I jumped on board. So I mean, I'm keen for that fight as well if he wants to fight me. He thinks he's so sick because his wrestling's so good, but it's MMA. It's not just wrestling. He's strong. He's athletic. He's been on big shows. I think he's on a winning streak. But I think he's a bit stupid, to be honest. Yeah. And it's, you know what I found, it's funny because he started calling out Tom when Tom was injured. So it's like, you know, he's like, it was kind of tactical. He's like, okay, I'll go for him now that he looks vulnerable. But that's the thing with Tom, is like he can look vulnerable, but he comes back. You know, that injury was horrific, but he come back and he done the business. So it's all about your frame of mind, really. You know, in this sport, like, you're gonna see everything. You're gonna see all these fighters look vulnerable, but that doesn't matter so much. So I think, you know, he started calling Tom out first because I think he thought, oh, well, he's going to be out of action for a little while. I don't think anyone expected Tom would do us so well as he did at the start of September. So I think maybe it was a little bit of tacticalness, but he was shit hot when he beat Mike Hales and on Bama, right? And he absolutely slaughtered him. So, you know, hats off to him for that. But you just look at who Mike Hales fought, absolutely no one. It's like, it's just like, this is the thing in MMA. You got to fight someone, and yeah. So, you know, he beats a fighter, and then with a very positive record, and then thinks he can perhaps beat someone such as my brother, and like, they're a completely different kettle of fish. They're not the same. They're not the same. So yeah, it's cool. It's exciting. You know, either me or Tom will have that fight. You know, it'd be fun for us. Not so fun for
Now,
him.
see, it's kind of strange. It's kind of strange to hear some smack talk coming from Richard, because
Yeah,
Richard, you're usually the more docile, humble, brother. It's usually Tom who's the one who talks the shit. You know what I'm saying? Because
yeah,
Tom said some shit in the past that's pretty funny.
yeah,
But you guys are very subtle about it. I like it. Even Tom is subtle about his shit talking. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised when I seen that he made that post, and went as far as tagging your brother in the post. I was like,
yeah,
wow, that was a move. I was like,
yeah,
maybe Richard will be the one that dishes him an ass whooping. I don't
yeah.
know.
I don't know. I don't know either. Like, I'm open to the idea. I think Tom's open to the idea. So yeah, we'll see. You know, I think with the shit talking, it's like, as a line with that, you've got to be confident. You know, it's the sport. If you're not confident, you can't win without confidence. Um, and where that comes from, you've got to respect your own ability. You've got to be able to big yourself up. You know, with all the training you do, and that, you know, you've got to have ultimate respect for yourself. So if someone shit talks towards me, um, well, I'm not really going to take that. But the sport humbles you at the same time. So it's you know, it's fine. I think I tend not to shit talk, but if someone wants to sort of dabble with that with me, then, you know, I'm keen to play along. At the end of the day, at the fight, I'm always just going to be myself. The fight is what matters. Sometimes shit talking is just how you get the fight. You know, it's a big world. There's many fighters out there. You can't always get the fight you want. So sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. But
Well, somebody as nice as Richard Mearns, you know what I'm saying? Like, how does someone as nice as Richard Mearns deal with a person or an opponent like it? I mean, I knew you and Scott were very respectable guys.
I
You
respect him a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, your sportsmanship is great. You guys are representing your country. You're representing UK MMA. So I know it's gonna be it was very respectful between you guys. But when you have those Conor McGregor type fighters, which you're gonna run into that one
oh
day,
yeah.
Richard. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Like, how does one like Richard, who's so nice and so kind, how does Richard respond to that? Someone getting in your face and pushing you and talking smack to you on social media. How does Richard deal with that?
You know, there's a trick to the weigh-ins, right? And you've got to send your message with the eyes. You know, I look at my opponent and I'm telling them what I'm going to do in my head, and I'm looking at them like, can you read my mind? Do you know what's going to happen in this fight? I don't need to sort of do the be so aggressive. I think they can see it, my intentions behind the eyes. You know, I think with the weigh-ins and that, it's always got to be organic. It's got to be natural to you. If you're acting in this sport, they're always going to know that you're acting. And if I'm trying to play tough in that, it's not really. I'm not really acting because I've had so many fights. I do know I'm tough in that, but Yeah, so it's got to be genuine. If someone gets in my face, I'm gonna I don't think I'm gonna try and outdo them on that, or try and outwit them. I'm just gonna keep the death stare and just let them know, like, okay, say what you want, do what you want. End of the day, we're still gonna have a fight, and then whatever is gonna be settled then. I'm not a sensitive person when people do these things because I understand the nature of the sport. Um, I don't think I can be easily offended by these types of people. So for me, it's no stress. There's been a few amateurs weigh-ins where I've had the guys really push their nose on me and try and sort of bully me back. I just meet that straight to them. One of my early amateurs, the guy was very aggressive, like trying to push his forehead onto my nose. So I had to get down to his level, give it back to him. I tell you who did try to shake me up at the weigh-ins was Dorval Jordan. So he was towering over me at the weigh-ins, and he got really close. So I got fine. I'll see if you're close enough. Like he was trying to really sort of be intimidating with his mannerisms. So I just take a step closer. I'm putting my nose on his nose and see if he's comfortable with that. I don't think he was. I think he was just like, oh, got a bit awkward for him, and I'm like, well, this is the fight, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm cool with that. I actually enjoy the weigh-ins. I enjoy the stare-offs. I haven't had anyone outright disrespect me yet, and I don't think that'd be a good idea for them. I mean, you look at Adam Butterworth. You know, when the KO was there, you know, I run up, and then once his job's done, job's done. I'm trying to keep, whilst we're fighting, I'm trying to be as respectful as possible as always. You know, you've got to be a little bit mean because of the nature of the sport. But I think people see that me and Tom are very respectful, and they show the respect back, and I appreciate that. I think they know what kind of fighters we are, so they know it's not cool to be trashy, and that I think, I think people like to fight me and Tom because it's martial arts. We uphold
Yeah.
the origins
Yeah.
of martial arts when we compete.
Yeah.
So all respect. And what I said after the fight with Scott Butters was true. Like I massively respect all of my opponents because I know how hard it is to get in there because I'm doing it myself. And to get to the fight, I've had to sacrifice a lot. Most importantly, the hardest thing is, you know, you sacrifice time with friends and family. They're doing this and that. You might want to join, but no, you've got to be in the gym. You've got to watch your weight. You know, sometimes work suffers a little bit because I'm
Yeah.
tired at work, and
Yep.
there's so many sacrifices. I mean, I don't have kids yet, you know, and whereas Scott does, so I know he's going through all the same things whilst he's got these responsibilities. So you know, it's all respect. The sport is violent, but I get no kick out of hurting people. It's not about that for me. It's more about it's the ultimate challenge. It's like, can you keep a cool head? And like sports is demanding, but I find mixed martial arts tests you more than like any other sport in the world. I did taekwondo as a kid. I competed for a long time. I was doing rugby throughout school. I loved rugby. I was really passionate about it. And
Mhm.
that's very hard, physical, mental as well. And then when I really got deep into the full contact martial arts, nothing was testing me anything like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, but it's all
Yeah.
respect, all respect. And you just got to keep it classy always.
And then and another thing that's pretty cool too is you don't fight emotionally. You fight. You
Yeah,
and your brother fight very technically.
yeah,
You know, you fight very technically. You don't let the emotions of the fight. If that person, is trying to get in your head, it doesn't matter. You go in and you can tell. Some fighters you can tell they're not thinking, but you can tell when you fight that you're actually thinking
yeah,
while you're fighting. You know what I'm saying? Like you're very concentrated and you're running the fight, you're running everything, you're reading your opponent, you're processing the data, you're looking at, and you're picking your shots, you're fighting very smart, and
mm,
you always fight your game. That's what's really smart. You always fight your game. You always play to your styles and you make the fight your fight. Which is
yeah.
really impressive.
There's only one emotion really in the fight, and it's like I don't think you can even call it an emotion, but it's just a desire to win. Um, it's a feeling of some sort. I can't quite describe it, but it overrides everything else. Like any upset, any stress. it's just a big. It's just like a. It's just like I feel like the problem-solving brain just takes over, and I'm disconnected from everything else. I'm just trying to win, if you know what I mean. So I don't get upset because it's like it's combat sports. So how can they upset me if they punch me? It's not like they're trying to be a dick. They're just trying to win.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, me and Tom are very experienced competitors now, and we don't get emotional because we just fully understand the nature of the sport. Um, like I said, fighters do get upset in the run up to fights, and that's usually when another opponent has been very distasteful and had no class. Examples of this would be Conor McGregor and Habib. You can see that all boiled up to after the fight. He hops the fence, and it's absolute mayhem. Another example of this was Ben Askren versus Jorge Masvidal. And then he knocked him out cold, but he followed up after the KO with some really vicious strikes, and he knew it wasn't necessary, but you know he did that anyway. So yeah, I forget where I was going with this. I'm just ranting now, but yeah, this is what I'm saying. The respect's very important in MMA because when it's not there in the run up to the fights, it gets a bit WWE after, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
get too emotional, but I've never had to deal with that in the sport yet, and I'm grateful because for me it's always just been about competing. And all my opponents, I've got great respect for them all. They've all been absolute gentlemen, just trying to make their way in a really rough sport, you know. So that's how I like it to be. Yeah.
So what does your girlfriend say to you after a fight? When you come back and she sees you and you're all beat up and you're all cut up and you're busted nose, what does she say to you, man? Because I
She
know you
usually
don't. I know you're like sore afterwards. I know your body hurts afterwards. Like, what does she say?
it's usually just congrats, babe, you know. But uh, there's only the only one time where it's like, oh damn, like was the Terry Doyle fight. I was really sort of beat up after that fight, and then she takes good care of me. Uh, she knows the nature of the sport as well. She fully understands that, but you know she'll take good care of me, ice the wounds and that. Any time that I've been injured, you know she's there to look after me. So really, really supportive. That's so. I've got to thank Katie for that. She's always been my number one, just looking after me. So yeah. Usually the fight
Has
goes
to deal.
well, and
She has to
that's it.
deal with you, bro. But it's hard. It's hard to. As nice of a guy as you are, it's hard to see that. It's hard to believe. Okay, Richard probably does get grumpy. Richard probably, when he's cutting weight, he
Yeah, she
probably is
knows.
He's very irritable. She
Yeah.
has to deal with all of that, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, she does. She sees the grumpier side of me, definitely. Um, I tend to just go a bit quiet, if you know what I mean, sort of save energy. Like when I'm cutting weight, I'm tired. But you know, she's very supportive, so that's why it works well. It helps me achieve. I think with this sport being as difficult as it is, if your girlfriend or your partner isn't with you on the journey, then it's it's going to be near impossible. You know, so they have to be on board. They have to support all the way.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
nice. Very nice. So Richard's just relaxing right now. Richard's just helping his brother. You gonna be your brother's main training partner for this camp?
I think so. So yeah, we got like a worth of experience at the gym. So I mean, I'll be his main training partner. I think tonight we might just go do like a light move around, maybe hit some pads. I'm not a good pad man, but what me and Tom tend to do is just do some live sparring. Like, I'll put my gloves on, he'll throw feeds at me, I'll move around, maybe like sort of mimic the opponent. I've not done any research on his opponent yet, but yeah, we just tend to sort of spar and roll. I think for the last fight, we have a friend at the gym called Noah, or Albania, we'll call him. He's the Albanian Tiger on Tapology and whatnot. Very successful amateur, but he was helping Tom with the pad work for his last fight. I think he might be helping him this time round. But we're a huge team at BST Academy in Northampton, so I'd say the team just works well together. Mondays we sort of on a Monday, anyone that's got a competition coming up, everyone as a team will sort of put that person through their paces, if you know what I mean. So I would say like I'm his main training partner, but really, I'm not. It's the team.
Yeah.
It's our coaches, Raymond Paul, Danny Batten. They put everything in order, and then it's just everyone else just works well as a team. So the team's had a lot of success this year. I've won both my professional fights. So has Jordan Fusenik. So is my brother. So we've been winning our pro fights this year, and then we've got a big amateur team, and they're all. I think they're on like a solid win ratio this year. I can only think of one loss in the team so far this year. I mean, I kid you not, just one loss. I mean, them amateurs are going to be stepping up to pro very soon. There's a few that I could think are going to be professional in probably the next year. So there'll be ones to look out for. But yeah, we have a solid team.
You got a lot of guys looking up to you. You know, when it's when they see you go out, when you go out there and fight, you're not only fighting for yourself, but you're fighting for those guys too, because they're watching you.
Oh yeah, I mean, to be honest, like when I'm getting ready for fights, all the amateurs in the gym are kicking my ass. You know, they just haven't. You know, they're very young. So a lot of them are 17 years old. Some of them are like early 20s, but many of them are teenagers still. And you know, I've got to be really in good shape to beat them in the rounds. So I wouldn't even say they look up to me. No, it's everyone's equal at the gym, and everyone's pushing each other real hard. Like they're amateurs, but
But it's
it's
good
only
for them to
because of the
look up.
fight
It's good for them
experience.
to look up and see. It's good for them to look up and see guys like you and Tom, though, is to show how to conduct yourself
Oh yeah,
in fights and against your opponent and stuff. Always show respect, because in an age right now in the MMA world, it's all about disrespecting the other
yeah,
person. You know, and
and
you guys really show that.
a lot of that is because mixed martial arts is proving what's dominant, what's effective, right? But it's moving away from the traditional martial arts. So some of the respect is getting lost in that. So, for example, me and Tom, we started with Taekwondo, and at the start of every class, we'd have to recite the oath. We'd have to learn a little bit of Korean. There's a lot of stuff that's done differently in the traditional arts, but now people just train MMA as a hybrid system.
Yeah.
And with that, they've lost some of the structure, if you know what I mean. So things like Kung Fu, Karate, Taekwondo, there will be more sort of discipline in place. Whereas now it's boxing, wrestling, MMA as a whole. You know, people don't like. For example, with judo, you have to bow in every time you step on the mat and step off the mat. If you go to the toilet, you've got to bow when you leave the venue just to go to take a leak and come back. I sort of miss that, and I still do that. I bow every time I step in the cage. But with MMA being so new, like people are kind of forgetting the martial arts where it come from. So I think just like instructors these days just need to bring a little bit of that back, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely understand. Definitely understand,
yeah.
man. Man, so let me ask you this, Richard, man. So what can your next opponent, whoever that may be, whoever your next opponent may be, what can they expect from Richard Mearns?
Expect to be surprised. Like as you can see this year, um, I've surprised each time. Like my last performance was not the kind of performance people see from me. It was completely different. With Dorval, you know, we went toe to toe, and I come out on top. With Scott Butters, it was a completely opposite fight. We went to ground. I come on top. So I'm well versed everywhere, and I mean absolutely everywhere. At the same time, I need to be so much better everywhere. I know what my weaknesses are, and I know there's many. I've got many weaknesses. So the fact knowing what they are is the first step. So I'm like I said, I don't plan the fights. I don't. I when I go into the fight, I've got a really loose game plan.
Yeah.
And I just let it unfold in front of me. So I just react. So I say, you know, what can they expect? They can just expect to lose. Like I'm going in there to win. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say, oh, we're going to watch out for this technique that I'm working on. That's a secret,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, I don't know. It's just going to expect a really tough fight. Yeah. So it all depends, who I'm fighting. Is going to depend what sort of strategy you're going to see. But I tend not to have much strategy. I just go in there and just react to what I'm given.
You know what I'm really looking forward to see you face?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to see you face a specialist. I
Yeah.
want to see you face like a jujitsu specialist.
That'd be cool.
Because most of the guys that you fight are wanting to stand and bang with you. You know what I'm saying? Like they're wanting to stand and bang, and stand and banging with a Mearns brother. Somebody gonna be battered. Somebody gonna get hurt. Somebody gonna get dropped. It's something gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So, but I want to see you. Like my dream fight for you is like a specialist. I want to
Okay.
see. Yeah, that's what I really want to see, like a jiu-jitsu specialist.
I like them fights. I like, for example, I love to see Damian Maya fight because he's a
Yes,
jiu-jitsu specialist,
yes.
and enjoy that. I really enjoy that. I like seeing MVP fight because you know what he's going to do, but it works. And if you get a student in MMA, you're never going to teach him to fight like MVP. You're going to be, that's totally wrong. Your guard's
Right.
down. It doesn't work. Damian Maya, never in a fight would you tell an opponent to pull guard in MMA because you're going to be underneath and you're going to get beaten up. Or Nick Diaz, for example, they do that. They pull guard in a fight. Never, ever, ever would you tell someone to do that. But with these specialists, they can do that. So I think that makes really exciting fights. So I want to see that.
I got cut. Somebody tried to call me the last 10 seconds of
Okay.
what got cut off. Go ahead,
Yeah.
say it
No.
again.
So what I was saying is, the specialists, I really enjoy seeing them fight because they do things which really shouldn't be allowed. For example, pulling
Right.
guard. If you never pull guard in an MMA fight, but Nick Diaz will do that. Damian Maya will do that because they're going to get the fight in the realm. You would never tell someone to keep their hands low in a fight because they're going to get knocked out. Um, Someone calling you again.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
keep
Okay.
calling.
No worries.
Yeah,
So yeah,
they do
but
stuff that you're not supposed to do, like pulling guard and stuff. But
yeah,
I want to see
totally
how
unique.
you handle.
What I would do is I'm going to take them and they're going to be fighting in the area of the sport where they're not so comfortable. It's the most obvious thing to do. Um, I do think my jiu-jitsu is good enough to fight jiu-jitsu specialists now. I really do. But I'm going to take them into the weaker game, the weaker areas of the game. And that's where the fight's going to be had. I'll find their weakness and I'll expose it during the fight. That's the most basic game plan. When with an opponent in mind, it gets much deeper than that. But the basic principle is you take the fight where they're at their weakest. If they're great on the ground, then you're going to have to work out how to counter their takedowns, and then the fight's going to stay on the feet. If they're an amazing striker, then you're going to put them on their back and you're going to fight them on the ground. That's the most basic way to deal with that. But it gets, because that's the expected thing, it actually gets a lot deeper and more complex than that. Because if they're an amazing striker, they know that you want to get them down. So there's a bit of like mind reading that almost goes on there. Like it's you got to be much more crafty with it. But I'll expose a weakness. But yeah, I
I
mean, I
hear
mean,
that, man.
Anthony Taylor is a specialist wrestler. I think, is he not? I mean, he's alright at wrestling, but that's his thing. Who
That would
knows?
be it'd be a good fight though, man.
Yeah,
It would be a damn good. I'd love to see it. Let me
yeah.
quit. Let me quit calling fights, man. Let me quit calling fights because those fights are gonna start happening, bro.
Well,
Like said,
contenders are in
I said
America,
all those
are
years
they not?
ago. I said all those years ago. I said, man, I'd love to see you fight. I'd love to see you fight Scott Butters, and bam, we got the fight.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is contenders will be in America in next year. So like it looks possible, does it not? Um,
Very
so we'll
possible.
see. We'll see. Um,
Okay.
I'll keep an open mind. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Richard. Well, great. Hey, man, we're gonna wrap this thing up, man.
Awesome, man.
Another fire ass interview with my boy Richard. Mearns,
Awesome.
UK featherweight and lightweight prospect.
I hope the people watching didn't mind the sound issues I was having. Like, I'm always bad with computers and stuff.
No,
But
it's all
yeah.
good. No, the sound's gonna be fine, man. The sound's gonna be fine. Go ahead and give a shout out to your coaches, your sponsors, whoever, man. The floor is yours.
Okay. Yeah. Most importantly, I've got to thank everyone at BST Academy in Northampton. Particular shout out is always my brother Tom Mearns. That guy's an inspiration because you see like what he's been through and how he just comes out on top. So yeah, Tom Mearns, Danny Batten, the head MMA coach there. I'm so lucky to have all that knowledge, like you know, which I can tap into when I need. I just speak to Danny, and he's always got the answers, as well as Raymond Paul. Very obsessed with the game. So them coaches, I'm really lucky to have them. And then it's a big team, so I'm just gonna say, thanks to the whole team, MMA, BST, MMA Academy. They all know who they are. I can't run through all the numbers, but there's so much talent there.
Yeah.
I'm also running classes out of Combat Principle in Wolverton, Milton Keynes. So I want to thank all my students there. They've been helping me make improvements this year. Really a good bunch of guys there and girls. So I want to thank them. They come support me in the fight. We had a couple there who come to watch. They traveled all the way to Norwich. So big respect for that. Big thanks to my girlfriend. She supports me, like we discussed earlier. She puts up with all the dieting and stuff that I have to do. I want to thank Dan Beckett actually. Dan Beckett is he is a specialist in terms of health in my recovery. So we discussed this in one of the last podcasts. It's all to do with the Wim Hof method of breathing and like ice bath sessions. So he helps me get my recovery in order, and me and Tom are going to be working very closely with him now. So in the run up to the Dorval fight, I was doing a lot of work with him, not so much for the Scott Butters fight, but that was just time and stuff. But for the fights coming, I'm going to be doing more work with him, so I'll be getting better recovery. And let me think, is there
And that
anyone
Wim
else in
Hof,
turn?
that Wim Hof techniques that you were talking about, those breathing techniques, man, is
Yep.
showing because your cardio is on point,
Yeah.
man.
Yep, and it's like it's more about being aware of your breathing as well. Like I used to hold my breath sometimes with certain exchanges. Like I didn't know I was doing it, but I just hold my breath. And now I see people doing it in my classes when I'm teaching. I'm getting them to do the warm up, and when they're doing burpees and stuff, I see they're holding their breath, and I'm like, oh, that's why you're struggling. So yeah, there's a lot to know about breathing, a hell of a lot. So I'm gonna be learning more about that now and how that can help my game. But it gives you some good mental clarity, and also sessions in the ice bath. Like we all know how good that is for recovery. So yeah, I think I believe that is all. I want to yeah. So mine's gone blank there, but it's everyone that supports me in this
Oh,
journey, all
good,
my
man.
family that come to watch, and people that watch at home. And thanks to you for having me on the podcast. I enjoy
Absolutely.
every chat. I really love it.
It's
Yeah.
always a pleasure, man. I know when it's time to interview Richard Mearns, I better set aside at
Mhm.
least an hour because we talk a lot, man. I
Yeah.
love it.
A few more mentions actually. First of all, yeah, I want to thank Scott for being proper sport. Wasn't his night. I'm curious to know what he's going to do next. Actually, I did see a little something on social media that hinted that maybe he's keen to sort of get back in there. So who knows? But so yeah, thanks to Scott for this one. It was a great fight. People enjoyed it, and big thanks to Contenders for having me on. Like, I want to be on the America card, so get me on there,
Yes,
Contenders, if you're
contenders,
listening.
contenders, America, the American card. Let's get Richard
Yeah,
Mearns on the American card, and let's get me my free tickets. Get
yeah,
me my free tickets so I can come down. I mean, let's go.
100%, 100%. I'll speak to them. I reckon it's. I think we're looking at April time, because I think they got another UK card in February. I wanted to be on the 28th of November, but that's going to be Tom's night, so I can't wait for that. So that's next thing for everyone else. Just stay tuned for that. My brother versus what's his name? Doesn't matter. My brother's gonna kick ass on Bellator. So like uh, 28th of November, Wembley Stadium, SSE Arena. That's the next thing everyone needs to get excited for.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
No, I know I'll be watching. I'll
Yeah,
definitely
man.
be watching, guys. But guys, go follow Richard Mearns on Facebook. Richard Mearns, he's very easy to very easy to find on Facebook. Keep up with what he's doing. Also, guys, go follow Contenders as well. And I'll be doing what I can to keep up with these guys. These guys are streaking. These guys are moving forward. They're pushing their careers forward. And I'm super excited to see what happens next with these boys. But all right, guys, we are out of here. This is your boy BJ back with his very special guest, Mr. Richard Mearns, live on No Filter MMA. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, guys, and we are out.
Thanks for having me